Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So I was just talking about this on my other channel, how the United States is becoming isolated. Anybody can see what's happening, and anybody who's wise would take precautionary measures to protect their value, just in my humble opinion. But if you look at the BRICS nations, look how they're forming a wall around the West. And I mean, to be fair, the West has weaponized their dollar, weaponized all of their financial system. So then why would you want to deal with a weaponized system? So that makes perfect sense in my humble opinion. But yes, they're becoming isolated. And then on top of that, how the West relies heavily on countries that they consider hostile or enemies is absolutely mind blowing. But they have to step on a few toes because of money that is on the table, money and power that is on the table. Like electric vehicles, in a situation, the connection between electric vehicles, the control that you can have with electric vehicles, and the money that you can make off of this industry that stands to explode in the future. The capital is going to be disgusting. Electric vehicles, solar panels, holding of silver because it's used in these electric appliances and cars and solar panels, silver, stuff like that. But then also because you need the semiconductors. So you had the semiconductors being mass produced in Taiwan, but China wants Taiwan. So even though the West gets most of its products from China, which would be disastrous if China ever said, hey, you want to sanction us? Okay, we're going to cut you off. It would be disastrous. And they could do that anytime they wanted. They could flex their muscle anytime they want. And it's no different for the United States than it is with Europe. Right? Europe gets a lot of their stuff from China and Brazil. But so, yeah, they're getting isolated, but they have to still step on those toes of China because they want those semiconductors. Right. There's a lot of different other variables that they'll throw in there. But keep in mind what someone said from the American political scene when speaking about if China took Taiwan. They said what? We would destroy the semiconductors. That means that was at the forefront of their mind at the time, right? So they're willing to take that risk. And of course, the people on the ground are the ones who typically suffer, right? But like I said, if the people on the ground are actually seeing what's going on, they would protect themselves. So it says here, $1 trillion has likely exited U.S. banking system as America risks global economic isolation. Hank Paulson, former U.S. Treasury Secretary, Hank Paulson, believes panic in the banking sector is not over. And the first recession since 2007 may be inevitable. I hate to break it to you, sir. We've already been in a recession for quite some time now, even though they want to rewrite the definitions, which is, I don't know how people allow these types of things to go on and then agree with it. But I don't. And we've been in a recession for quite some time. In a new interview with Financial Times, Paulson says depositors appear to have pulled about $1 trillion out of the banking system so far this year. Paulson says small and regional banks are now focused on protecting their capital. Everyone should be protecting their capital. You see that? A lot of people are, though. A lot of people buying gold and silver and such like that. It was a very smart move, although they waited till the last second. Some of us been deep in gold for a long time, protecting that value. But hey, better late than never. It says, and severely tightening their lending services. Yeah, tightening so much that now you have Janet Yellen saying that, hey, we may not even need to raise interest rates anymore because of the bank tightening of lending, which is unbelievable that they will put that kind of power in the bank's hands. But it just shows you how lazy some of these officials are, right? Some of these regulators, agencies, governmental bodies, they're lazy. They don't want to do any work. They don't want any responsibility. And even though they mess everything up, they don't want any blame either. Just my humble opinion. Just my humble opinion. No, I mean no disrespect. It's just my observance. It says, quote, the capital market shut down for 2 or 3 weeks and now they're opening, but not to the extent they were. So I think it's pretty likely we will see a recession if you look at what's happening to credit. Paulson predicts traditional forms of borrowing and lending will shift outside of the regulated banking system. Yeah, the banking system is on fire right now. It says, which will spark further uncertainty and potential panic. And that's interesting considering that there's still about 200 or so banks at risk, which if they fall, once again, I'll keep saying it, there's going to be another ripple effect. It's going to affect a lot of other banks and systems and such. Says, and amid a bleak economic outlook, Paulson says global economic isolation is now a serious risk for the U.S. So now it's not just me saying it. I've been saying that for quite some time. But now it's not just me saying it. It's a former U.S. Treasury Secretary. That's what they said this individual is. Yeah, former U.S. Treasury Secretary. Are people going to listen to this individual? Are they going to take it serious? So it shows you how like when these individuals come out and say it, you know it's become a problem because they don't like to say anything otherwise at all. They hold back to the last second. It says, quote, the Chinese are arguing that the U.S. is trying to contain them. Well, and the Chinese people definitely believe that. They're putting out to the world and to American CEOs. He's telling to American CEOs that China is open for business again. If America goes too far in curtailing trade and investment with China, and we go far beyond what our allies and partners want to do, the result will be to isolate the U.S. This is a dangerous situation. I have a concern that Congress is underestimating the relative power of China. I agree. I usually don't agree with these types of individuals. I definitely agree right here. They greatly underestimate the power of this. Not just China. China is connected to all these other countries. Brazil, India, Russia, all the other countries that want to join BRICS. There's so many of them. So many. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I appreciate everyone being here. If you haven't already, I greatly appreciate it if you like the video and subscribe to the channel.